Thus far, it's taken near perfection to even be in the championship conversation in the Pierce Fleet Service Super Series, quickly leaving all but 2 drivers left wondering when they might get a turn at some points. The road to this season's title, with just 3 races complete, is already running through Ryan Kuhn and Alex McCullum, with tonight's stop at Nashville along the way. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the Sim Auto Racing Association Pierce Fleet Service Super Series on these virtual high banks. Tonight's coverage is, of course, brought to you by Pierce Fleet Service. Boyd's Automotive, not Boyd's Automotive, actually. Tonight it's going to be Studio 10 Wraps. I gotta rewrite that. Along with Whiplash Sim Cams. It is good to be here at the virtual racetrack, the virtual short track, I suppose, as we had that week off. Back to short track racing, though, on a Thursday evening, the way it should be, with these super late models on track. Qualifying is beginning as I say this, as I speak, and we are about to take a whole field of nearly 40 super late models down to a starting 30 for tonight's 125 lapper, brought to you by Studio 10 Wraps. We have got cars getting on the racetrack, and well, as soon as some of these guys head onto the racetrack, we'll actually see what they can do. Here's Jacob Harberts in the number 80, Josh Parrish filling in this evening in the number 9 car, Keith Jeffrey out there in the 88, a whole slew of drivers getting up to speed, and Jeffrey's gonna put the binders on very, very quickly. But a few drivers are starting to get their laps in. Parrish is one of them. And Dickinson will go to the top of the board for the time being. They say that, and the 6 car hits the wall pretty hard there. Kyle Souza comes across the line. That'll be lap 2 completed for the number 7. I believe he's still looking for his first start of the season, at least his first start on Pit Stop TV at the very least. John Owlett, we've seen him in each race thus far. Our 8th, 4th quick so far. Dante Curtis to the top side in turn 1. He's done. Trevor Edwards, here we go, a heavy hitter straight to pole position. Keith Jeffrey, car 88, a bit sideways at a turn number 4. And I think quickly we're seeing that we're going to see most of these drivers, most of the heavy hitters come out at the back end of this qualifying session. Cameron Hamilton, car number 10. We'll head onto the racetrack. Weather conditions, 70.5 degrees, mostly cloudy. Track temp at 77 degrees. Not bad weather at all to go racing in the middle of February. Justin Laxton goes to 10th. Here's Cameron Hamilton beginning lap number 1. Eric Tracy on the track as well in the 66. There's Laxton in the 53. That'll be lap 2 for car 53, and it's a tick slower. Dylan Bates, the 91, will wrap up his qualifying run, 6th thus far. Kyle Eli in the pit lane waiting to go out. Kyle Meyer comes across the line, goes 4th, and of course, everything is going to tighten up very, very quickly. That's a great paint scheme for Kyle Meyer, by the way. That is beautiful. But very, very quickly, we're going to see about half this field run their laps all at once. I mean, Joe Schaefer Jr. working onto the racetrack now in the Epic Media Ford Mustang. Kyle Eli on the racetrack. Cameron Hamilton in the number 10 finally gets out there. We've seen good and bad things for Hamilton. A lot of potential the first few races of the season. Unfortunately, a whole lot of bad luck as well. In qualifying, though, to try and make the show, car number 10 will post a 17:18. Pretty solid lap time for car 10. That's beating out half the field already. Joe Schaefer across the line, a little bit squirrely, but he will post a time. It goes 14th so far, just ahead of Grant Brown in the 14 car. Devin Rogers in the number 2, looking for a little bit more speed here on lap 2. Dustin Monberquette now on the track. Jeremy Ashby, Devin Landry. Matt Rolfe gets a time, and hello, pole position for Ryan Kuhn, as Rogers will stay where he was. Now eyes, I feel like, have got to be turning down to Alex McCullum working onto the racetrack. Rocky Boyd goes 17th spot. Parker Traves, last race's winner, still in the pit lane. And here's Landon Rapp filling in for Brett Suggs. Beginning lap 1, there is car 33. Parker Traves on the racetrack now after winning at New Smyrna. And Alex McCullum got a race win. He's 1 point back of Ryan Kuhn. We'll talk more about that. And Sean Cool, hello, car 24 to the top of the board and quickly usurped by the number 1 of Alex McCullum. He goes straight to the top. An opportunity now for Parker Traves. It looks like Landon Rapp still has a shot. Traves sideways across the line. That's a 17.28. And that might keep Traves out of the race. That's going to be close. He goes 29th. Landon Rapp at the last second. I don't think he's going to be qualifying in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the lap time for Landon is a 32.43. Well, I think time was actually... We'll see if that time ends up posting, I guess, when he comes across the line. But car 33 looks like will not get a time, I guess, placed, as he and Daniel Folds both do not get times on the racetrack, but that's okay. Of course, the next race always comes around. We're headed out to Southern National Motorsports Park, in a week's time for 173 laps. The first race that won't be 125 at the tightest racetrack we'll have gone to thus far. But qualifying is in the books. It's all going to come down to provisionals, who's faster than who, and setting the field. I can tell you, though, Alex McCullum starting on pole. Sean Cool will start from, well, I guess Alex won't start from first, actually, because there is that top 8 points handicap. Sean Cool may be your pole sitter when we actually go green. Richie Murray also in the top 8. Haven't seen his name yet. So there's, I think, a lot of mixing up about to happen within that top 8 and how we actually line these drivers up. But there's a look at the schedule. We can also take a look at point standings before we get too far into the evening. I talked about Ryan Kuhn having a 1 point lead over Alex McCullum. They have a win each. Parker Traves got a win at New Smyrna, so he joins that category. But overall, what I said about having to go through Alex McCullum and Ryan Kuhn is very much true. The closest anybody else is 24 points back, Jacob Harberts. I think he's still got a pretty decent shot. But it's going to take a lot of things going very, very right for anybody but the 72 or the 1 to win this championship already. And I know that might be a lot to say after just 3 races, but truthfully, when you've got 10th place already 90 points back, we are very quickly limiting our choices, and there's still time for things to sway if Ryan and Alex have commitments come up, maybe, or whatever might happen. Who knows? But for the most part, I think it's very much a 2-horse race, 2.5 maybe. Jacob Harbert's not too far back. I think still has a chance. So we didn't even get to the track map just yet. We'll, of course, talk about that when we get ready to go racing in just a few short, moments, a few minutes still, as the session gets set up for, again, 125 laps at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Going to be a fun time. Briefly, while we wait on the session to go live, here's a look at what's upcoming for the rest of February, actually, for Pit Stop TV. Sunday evening, we head out to Daytona International Speedway to kick the season off for the Icon Cup Series. The Daytona 300, as they go an extra 20 laps to what most iRacing leagues will be doing this weekend, or did last weekend. Heading out to Daytona on the high banks for their season opener at 7:45 Eastern. Then Tuesday evening, it's the season finale for the Lucky Motorsports Solutions Elevated Performance Street Stocks at Southern National, right before these super late model drivers head to Southern National and the virtual Lucama, North Carolina themselves on the Leap Day this year in 2024. That said, we are still waiting, and it'll be a few minutes before we get that session up, so a shout out certainly to all of our partners with this series, beginning this evening with Studio 10 Wraps. Studio 10 Wraps 125. Gonna be a fun night for sure. And there's a whole slew of partners to give a nod to. 1-8 Coffee Company, Pedley's Garage Incorporated, Pierce Fleet Service, of course the namesake of the SARA Pierce Fleet Service Super Series, Race1Wraps.com, RS Center Trucking, SARA Next Gen Templates, SimWrapMarket.com, Sousa Media, Studio 10 Wraps, Toxic Media Solutions. How about Boyd's Automotive, Crow Sim Shots, Davis Chassis Works, DriverTees.com, Fast AF Designs, Hides, Pride, Leather, and Sheepskin, International Short Track Association, Jeff By Jr. Art, Justin Brooks Designs, and Matthews Designs, all helping us get to and from the virtual racetrack on these Thursday evenings. A shout out as well to those who help us behind the scenes at Pit Stop TV, Whiplash Media Simcams, ATVO, and CC's Business, and we are just waiting to go racing with 30 some odd cars here at Nashville in just a short while. Everything's being tabulated, everything's being figured out by Matt Rolfe behind the scenes, so we have a perfect lineup when we take the green flag, and we'll be back very, very shortly with that warm-up session right here from the virtual Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Don't go anywhere. Racing is on the way. Welcome back to the virtual Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. The sun is setting behind the grandstands, and we are moving quickly towards twilight. At a very, very cool place to go towards twilight in the iRacing.com sim. Some of the coolest sightlines you'll see in short track racing right here at the virtual Nashville Fairgrounds. Let's get into the sim, though, and take a look at what's happening on the racetrack as we work into our warm-up session. The weather condition starting to change ever so slightly. That track temp has come down about 4 degrees from qualifying as we quickly head towards sunset in sim. But let's properly get back into the swing of things. Of course, didn't get a chance to look at the track map in that short, brief qualifying session, short, brief qualifying portion of the broadcast. So let's do it now. Of course, Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. The track map from above looks very, very, I guess, unconvincing as to the character of this racetrack. It looks like a very straight up short track oval, not a whole lot going on, but the banking here, I think, is the most defining factor that sets this place apart from just about anywhere else in the country. The bumps, of course, down at the bottom of the racetrack too. The speed, the fact that this place is a little over that half-mile threshold, all makes Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway very, very special, and that much more fun. And you know what? Race number 4 on the season makes it a big challenge as well. This place is really, really fast, a lot like Kern County earlier in this season to get the season started for these guys. So we go from a high bank Kern County to a couple of flat tracks in Irwindale and New Smyrna. I know New Smyrna isn't flat, but it's a whole lot closer to flat than Nashville Fairgrounds anyway. So then right back to the mixing bowl at Southern National Motorsports Park. A couple of weeks off from Super Series action, as these guys will take, of course, the build week off in March, and then some special, I suppose, racing at Hickory that second week of March before we come back to points racing at Five Flags, on to Mystery Night, brought to you by Fast AF Designs, and April and May, I think, will be a whole lot of fun for this series as well. I mean, you're going to New Hampshire, Slinger, Oxford, Plains, and Lanier, 4 very different racetracks 1 week to the next. Of course, qualifying is already decided, the lineup has been decided, but we do have cars on track here in this warm-up session, and everybody's getting their lap times in. Cole Cabry at a 17.218 is the fastest thus far. And the number 54 just might be one of the drivers that we have to watch for over the course of the evening. That said, if you go to the lineup, he's starting a good ways down, it looks like. Cole Cabry starting from 15th position. It's going to be tough to work through the field starting from that far back, but at the same time, the first few races of the season, we've seen a whole lot of back to front and everywhere in between. Alex McCollum second quick here in this warm-up. Kyle Eli fourth quick. Trevor Edwards not on track currently is third quick, and he'll be leading us to the green when we go racing in a handful of minutes. Josh Cottle in top 5 in warm-up. Parker Traves looking quick as well in 6th. Aaron Johnson, Joe Schaefer. A whole lot of fast race cars. Ryan Kuhn, oddly enough, is down in 9th in this top 10 in warm-up. I think that says a lot right now as to where the pace of this field is. Talked about points briefly, the back end of qualifying. We can do so again here before we go racing. And it's still just so interesting to me that Ryan Kuhn and Alex McCollum, 3 races in, are this close, yet so far from the rest of this field. I mean, Jacob Harberts, Josh Connell, Dustin Monberquette, they've all done a great job themselves to stay in the top 5. How about Dylan Bates, Kyle Eli, John Owlett, Cody Kelly, Trevor Edwards even in the top 10, but it has been some really rough going for anybody but the 1 and the 72. And of course, Ryan Kuhn coming off of a championship, Alex McCollum with all of his sim racing accolades. I think that is going to continue to be the class of the field. It's going to be tough to beat those guys, although Cole Cabry is already faster than both of those drivers, and now add Tyler DiVinanzo to that list here in this short warm-up session. Car 97 up to the second spot with a 17.278. And he'll end up putting it in the outside wall there after an extra lap or so. That said, I think these guys are going to be working on their race trim at this point, of course. So that would make the most sense to me. Go out there, qualify. That's now sorted out. Don't need to do any of that short run stuff. get race trim sorted out. Get ready for a long run, potentially. I mean, we've seen, admittedly, a handful of cautions throughout the first couple of races. With our coverage here with the SARA Super Series, I don't think it'd be that crazy to expect a few cautions again. I think higher than what the league average has historically been. Maybe around 5, 6 or so. Who knows? Maybe I'm jinxing things already before we even get to the grid, but this is a tough racetrack. Every sim broadcast I've done here has always had an elevated number of cautions. Something about this racetrack. Hopefully I'm proven wrong, though. Cars are on the grid, and Trevor Edwards is going to lead the field to green on the CSE's Business starting grid. Josh Cottle will roll off from second spot. Casey Kelly, Sean Cool, that's row number 2, with Cody Kelly and Alex McCullum making up row number 3. McCullum starting from 6th is going to be one to watch out for sure. Can't go too far, though, before you find the 72 car. Ryan Kuhn starting from 7th, Richie Murray from 8th after the top 8 have been realigned. Starting 9th and 10th, Kyle Meyer, Kyle Eli, the row of the Kyles, and I think the best chance to upset the top 8 and mix things up in these early goings. 11th spot, Spencer Dickinson out of Mountain View, North Carolina. Jacob Harberts in the number 80 car, 3rd place in points. Watch this 80 car. He's got to get some points this evening for sure. Dylan Bates back there in the 91. Cameron Hamilton in the 10 car. He'll start from 14th spot. Starting 15th, Cole Cabry. Aaron Johnson from 16th position, right at the midpoint of the field. Eric Tracy, Dustin Monberquette, Rocky Boyd, and Joe Schaefer Jr. Make up the rest of your top 20. Starting 21st through 30th, they're going to scroll by on the bottom of the screen. Grant Brown, notable back there, as well as Josh Parrish and several others. But let's take a look at the Whiplash SimCam's race details for this event. Of course, 125 laps, as has been discussed. Open setups, no change tires. With that top 8 points handicap in the lineup, that's already been sorted out. Caution laps will count. And there is Parker Trave starting from 26th, alongside Tyler DiVinanzo, who was quick in warm-up. Devin Landry deep in the field. And Daniel Folds will be the final car to take the green flag this evening from way back in position number 30. And that is not an easy place to begin a race from. Looks like the bottom side is stacking up a little bit extra. Matt Rolfe going to the back of the field. But if you are Daniel Folds back here with this visual looking forward, especially when they roll out of turn 4 and you can see the entire field on the front stretch, the word I've always used for this is daunting. I believe the iRacing.com pace car will leave these guys this time by 125 laps. Track temp, let's see, where is it at? Down to 71 degrees. It's going to continue to sink, as does the sun. Into sunset, perfect timing for the Studio 10 Wraps 125 from Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway in the restart zone. Trevor Edwards gets us started, and we are green in race number 4. Big crash already. Sean Cool, Kyle Eli, and cars piled up all over the back straightaway. Grant Brown is in it. Josh Parrish gets a piece. Cameron Hamilton was there. Some really, really big hits. Sean Cool was the biggest of the bunch, hard in the outside wall. And that amazing qualifying run is out the window for car 24 very, very quickly. He's going to get back in the lineup somewhere up here. Kyle Eli took a big shot as well. I'm not sure these guys know where they need to be just yet, but we'll take a look back at whatever just happened. Lap number 1 to Sean Cool and everybody else in the back. Watch that white, black, and pink, number 24 on the top side. Cody Kelly inside, and Sean just got loose. Just made a mistake all on his own, and it is not a fun hat to have to wear. I've been there in sim racing. That is the worst feeling. Lap 1, you just get loose, overcorrect, and several cars smash in. Man. That was the aid of Richie Murray that immediately got him off the ground. A lot of damage to that machine. Kyle Eli came piling in as well. On board with Richie Murray. And Alex McCullum was very lucky to get through that, by the way. That was very, very lucky for the one car. He was nearly a big, big part of that and taken out lap 1. Second place in the point standings. That would not have gone over well. Kyle Eli out of New Jersey. Unfortunately, very much a part of this crash. Wow. One more look from the one car. Alex McCullum was this close to having race 4 over with. And so the Studio 10 Wraps 125 will continue on, just under caution as the field actually gets doubled up this time by. Re-racked, restacked, as they say. Trevor Edwards in the front row, still with Josh Cottle to the outside. Casey Kelly, along with Cody Kelly. That's row number 2. Waiting on the field in the restart zone. An early launch there out of Edwards, but we are back green at Nashville. Well, we got through turn number 2, at least most of the field has. Down into turn 3 and 4, though. And Casey Kelly going to take the spot away from Cody Kelly for the 3rd and 4th positions to get settled out. Lap number 6 in the books. Side-by-side racing, Spencer Dickinson, Kyle Meyer. This is 7th spot on the racetrack, and just ahead of Jacob Harbert's Richie Murray, still in the fight, but he's headed backwards in a hurry. That number 8 is anemic, to say the least. That's Cole Cabry now to the inside in the white 54. Eric Tracy takes a look. Cameron Hamilton isn't far back, and unfortunately that black and green 8 car is going to be headed backwards in a hurry. Kyle Eli, it looks like, is out of this race. Sean Cool, 3 laps down but back in it. And up front, Josh Cottle is chasing the number 32, and interestingly, these two were a big part of the midfield at New Smyrna Speedway a couple of weeks ago. Very much fighting and clawing their way through the field, and now they pace the SARA Super Series at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Edwards the advantage by a quarter second after 10 laps of racing as they come up on the injured, the wounded, the battered and bruised, number 24 of Sean Cool. And Sean will make it easy on these guys as you see the top 10 or so broken away into a line. They get top 9 as Cole Cabry sits a little further back, and Sean Cool takes it back to the pit lane. His day might be over. A spinner, and it's Richie Murray in car number 8. Caution flag back out. Caution 1, Richie Murray was the collected. In caution number 2, he's the collector. He's going backwards in a hurry on the top side, just could not get back in line, and of course that damage from the first crash would certainly do it. This time, though, out of turn 4, Tyler DiVincenzo gives him a shot, and I think Murray was just off pace at that point, and no fault of his own. But the crash he had to go through lap 1 very much hurt that car. And if we go back a little bit, an extra lap, and just listen in, I think we'll hear that. This is coming up now on the crash lap, and he got real loose there in 1 and 2. He's got all this damage. I'm sure the motor is hurt. He finally gets in line, though, on the bottom, and right here, the shot from behind, and DiVincenzo gets him turned around. A couple of cars take a couple of hits, nothing too crazy. But the New Englander, I just don't think he's getting this race back on track. He's staying out, it looks like, under this yellow, and Divinanzo is getting the cause penalty for the caution, which I don't disagree with. I think that's a pretty easy call to make. Dylan Bates, though, in the pit lane. Not where he wanted to be spending his time. You see Sean Cool in the background. Kyle Eli back in it. He's actually back on the racetrack after 11 laps. There's Sean Cool and Dylan Bates. So Trevor Edwards is still your race leader. 15 laps will be complete this time by. And I hate to think that I might be partially to blame for a couple of early cautions, a little bit of a jinx. At the same time, though, this is a very satisfying racetrack if you can just get through that opening 15, 20 laps of a run and break into where the tires really start to take on some wear. This is such a satisfying place to race. And I think we certainly have that potential. We're talking about some of the best super late model drivers on the iRacing.com sim by far. The only thing is, along with take, you have to give. What comes first? Give and take. And maybe I'm not the best to say it. I'm just the broadcaster in the situation. But I think if everybody kind of cooled down a little bit and let the race come to them, and we go back to what I've talked about the first couple of races, my experience with the Cars Tour and directing some of those broadcasts, watching guys like Josh Berry, Caden Honeycutt, and others that have made it to higher ranks now in the NASCAR series. I mean, Josh Berry's now a Cup driver for Stewart Haas Racing. Watching those guys throttle back and just be patient, let the race come to them in a very similarly length race. 125 laps or so, no changed tires because of COVID and everything changing the series. If we can calm down, we can get some laps in. Back green we go, 17 laps complete. We're back racing at Nashville. Absolutely love those views. Hate racing here myself, never been very good at it, but Nashville Fairgrounds looks fantastic. Cody Kelly defending over Alex McCullum as this run gets back going. McCullum working right to the bottom side. Ryan Kuhn, by the way, has just kind of slipped on through to the fourth spot, very quietly made his way by a couple of cars in that previous run. And we're going to have to watch the 72 as this race goes on. Casey Kelly going to try and defend. And this battle is getting warmer by the moment, by the second. Cody Kelly defending on the outside. Alex McCullum inside. One car on the wall. It's Rocky Boyd in the 16. They're three wide into turn number one. Josh Parrish filling in for Grayson Ward. And he goes right through the middle of that three wide situation. Parker Traves back here. John Owlett. How about the 40 of Devin Landry? And they're mixing it up again down into turn one. We'll just let them do their thing back here up front. The front handful starting to space out as Dickinson now works with Harberts. Cody Kelly has quickly been dispatched of. I think he might have had a moment a lap or two ago racing with the one car of McCullum. Harberts, though, car number 80, working on North Carolina's Spencer Dickinson. That's going to be a tough nut to crack. The six cars looked pretty quick this evening. But, of course, Harberts, third place in the point standings, I think has to be considered, again, one of the few rounds in the chamber that could possibly upset the 1 or 72. And I think as this season gets into kind of this mid-season picture and swing of things, we're racing this week, back again next week, and then a couple of weeks off. As we get through this grind, especially working into the iRacing Official Series Season 2, and these guys changing their focuses maybe across different official series, Harberts has to be somebody we keep an eye on. 25 laps complete this evening, he's 7th, but hey, Ryan Kuhn is 4th. Alex McCullum is 5th. He's not far back, and depending on how tires wear, and depending on where these guys end up, who ends up bringing out any future cautions potentially, and how they line up, Harberts is not far out of the race and has to be very much on everybody's radar. If anybody's going to upset the 1 or 72, I think it's going to be car number 80. Further back, a nice fight for position number, let's see, this is 18th. Devin Landry outside, John Ellett inside. John's had a rough go to start the season. He goes by Rocky Boyd, though, injured on the bottom side. Keith Jeffrey grabs a position as well. And now Matt Rolfe, one of the few times we go on board with car 0 this season, he's got an opportunity to move up closer to the top 20. Ellett gets free out of the throttle there for the New Englander, and Jeffrey going to take advantage of the inside in the 88 car. We don't get many opportunities to sink back and see some of these guys in the midfield or even the back of the field, the back half. We don't get many chances, but this is some really cool racing as Richie Murray was all over the outside wall for a moment. Gets it sorted out, but Rocky Boyd fighting back on John Ellett. The 16 car has still got some speed, and he's using it here as we work lap 30. Dustin Marquette, Cameron Hamilton, they get sorted out. Hamilton, the benefactor. Matt Rolfe, John Ellett now, they go fighting for the 21st position. Tyler DiVincenzo and Grant Brown having to try and calm themselves down. It's been very back and forth between the 97 and 14, and the 97 finally going to win out. Pull down Motorsports machine, getting ahead of the Patriot Media Services number 14 car. And everything Grant Brown has going on up in Wisconsin is worth paying attention to as well. If you're a fan of somebody who puts their heart and soul into short track racing, Grant Brown, Patriot Media Services, every driver they have in their camp, very much worth paying attention to as they work their way through grassroots racing, especially up in the Wisconsin region, the northern Midwest. We'll catch these guys at a lot of cool racetracks up there. Dells, Wisconsin International, I'm sure racing a bit at Slinger here in 2024, who knows, but watch those guys. Up front, your top 5, just about as close as we left them. Very little changing. And I'm sure it's going to stay that way for a while. The leaders seem to be subscribing to that mindset of kind of sit back and relax, let the race come to them. Although Alex McCullum will run here on the RKM number 72 and sends it up the inside of Ryan Kuhn in turns 1 and 2, but little opportunity there as they are very close off the corner. Another try here from McCullum. And Ryan Kuhn, of course, at that top side, able to just throttle back by on the backstretch. But that time it took a few extra feet for the 72 to clear the 1 car again, so if Alex keeps working at it, he might have something as he starts to peel the 72 away from the fight for the top 3. And while we watch these 2 points leaders on the season, I don't at all want to detract from the race that we're seeing from the 32 and 13 cars right now. Josh Cottle putting pressure on Trevor Edwards as this race goes on. He's well within a quarter second now. It varies, of course, when they're on the straightaway or in the corner. But this is a really cool race we have going on. And how about Casey Kelly in 3rd? Didn't think I'd be saying that this evening. We have not seen this kind of speed out of the 5 car yet, at least not while being broadcast. And Casey's got something here as McCullum and Kuhn go side by side again out his mirror. If he can't be racing for 1st and 2nd, I think that's at least somewhat comforting. I mean, you don't want to have either one of those 2 cars behind you, but if you've got to have them both, at least make them race and slow down a little bit. And Dickinson, I'm sure, likes what he's seeing out his windshield right now. Let those guys keep fighting. Let him come back to him, and maybe Dickinson can slip by and grab the 4th position. Oh, big contact to the wall for the 72. Ryan Kuhn absolutely tore the concrete down. That was a big, heavy hit for the Jones Utilities Ford Dark Horse Mustang. And out of turn 4, nearly gets it again. Dickinson can let him get in line, and that actually opens the door maybe now to Jacob Harbert to take advantage. Who knows? Maybe a little far-fetched at the time being. That was a big hit, the 72 car. I'm just surprised there isn't more damage on that Ford Mustang. But he gets back to work. Deeper in the top 10, Cole Cabry has now come under fire from the 6 car. Joe Schaefer Jr. in the top 10. Absolutely turning things around from what we've seen this season for the number 6. A whole lot of bad luck. Has definitely taken away from the speed that car number 6 has had. And he started 20th. He's up 10 spots. That's a pretty solid effort out of somebody who's had a very rough time, especially a couple of weeks ago at New Smyrna Speedway. Not able to get by the 54 car yet, but if he keeps working at it, who knows? Might have an opening and get on by. And deep in this field, a nice little fight for the 26th position. Dylan Bates with these guys, but Josh Parrish and Kyle Souza. Statistically, you see a lot of cautions out of drivers who fight in the back of the field. I'm not saying these guys are a risk for a caution necessarily, but statistically, there's a high correlation. And there is some contact. John Owlett and Tyler DiVincenzo. All the speed the 97 had in warm-up is out, as that was a nice little tangle with the concrete wall. Ryan Kuhn is not the only one getting a piece of it, as Matt Rolfe goes by the 16 car. Owlett looks for an opening to the inside, and this little group of cars that we saw battling some 20 laps ago, yeah, they're still at it. And Ryan Kuhn under fire once again. The 6 car to the outside, the 80 going to try and follow, and our points leader might be in serious trouble at this point in time. He, again, really knocked the wall down. I'm surprised that car doesn't look worse visually, but we might be seeing him start to look a little worse mechanically. Nothing sounds too far amiss for the 72, but he's definitely not his usual self. "51 laps complete. The field works back by Sean Cool on the top side, the number 24. Props to him for soldiering on. He and Kyle Eli both making the most of the cards that have been dealt to them. I know it's tough when you're so many laps down early in this race, but something I love about series that allow drivers to run with crash race cars is you get to see these guys who soldier on. They never give up until the checkered flag flies. And in my now several years of sim broadcasting, I have always made it a point to recognize these drivers who might have a pretty terrible situation going for them, as Sean Cool knocks the wall down there at turn 4. But he's still out here trying. He's just trying to get the laps completed. I'm sure, admittedly, a little bit embarrassed after lap 1, but does not want to waste this opportunity in the SARA Super Series. And the same is true here for the 21 car of Kyle Eli. 11 laps down, just trying to stay in the race. Kyle Souza has lost a lap. There goes the leaders by him. He's going to hold up Jacob Harberts into turn 1. And that's always tough as a leader to one of the top 10 to throttle back for a lap car like that. But Souza plays nicely at least, lets these guys go by. Casey Kelly under fire. Alex McCullum has found the 5 car. And we might be seeing a points lead change after this evening at Nashville Fairgrounds. The 1 car poking all over the place on this number 5. Keep having to change cameras. McCullum goes to the inside, then right behind, then the outside as there's near contact that time. And a slow car, Dustin Monburquette, into the pit lane. Not at all what I would be expecting from the Connell Captures Ford Mustang at this point in time. Not sure why he's had to come in pit, but he's out of the car already. So that can't be good. A pitter here as well. John Owlett into the pit lane, and there is a ton of damage to car number 8. Could that maybe tell a bit of the story with Monburquette, maybe? Well, we'll find out. John Allett in the 8 car racing with Rocky Boyd, Richie Murray. There's contact there with Boyd and smash goes Allett in the number 8. He just keeps it off of the 97 of DiVincenzo in turns 1 and 2 and wrestles that number 8 the inside of the racetrack to pit. He actually had to go an extra lap. Entirely unrelated, though, to Dustin Monburquette, so separate issues for those drivers as they come into the pit lane. McCullum's still working, by the way, on 3rd place, Casey Kelly. And there was some contact between cars and the wall, and that was lucky as caution. Crash on the front stretch, and it's Richie Murray. McCullum and Kelly, though, were very, very lucky to not have a crash between themselves. They made a little bit of contact with the outside wall. Did McCullum? A little bit of contact between their 2 fenders as well. Richie Murray's had a rough day, and it seems like it's getting a little bit rougher. This is out of turn number 4. The 8 car just gets free, and much like the crash that he was involved in to start this race, it goes for a spin all on his lonesome to bring out our 3rd caution of the night. Some pitters here under this yellow. One of them happens to be Tyler DiVincenzo in the number 97. Dylan Bates will stay out. Let's see who else is down. Daniel Folds in the pit lane just missed his box. Rocky Boyd is in. Eric Tracy, Richie Murray, and these drivers don't have tires. So where they may be trying to play it safe on fuel, I say play it safe, play it aggressive on fuel rather, and underfuel their cars. It's about all I can think of. Those drivers make quick work in the pit lane. John Allett, though, he's still more or less done. Dustin Monburquette has disconnected. Kyle Eli. And you know what? Perfect use case for those guys who I was just praising, staying in the race, like Kyle Eli, for example. He now has an opportunity. He's only 4 laps behind Dustin Monburquette, 5 laps behind John Allett, and I guarantee you when we go back green flag racing, that damage on the 8 will take more than 5 laps to repair. Even if it happens that quickly, Eli will be faster. That car looks pristine by comparison. So these drivers can get some points now on those drivers that are having to retire. I mean, Sean Cool has already passed Ouellette and Monburquette. He's in the 27th spot. So a perfect use case scenario for those guys and why I like to praise them. They're staying in the race, getting what they can. It takes an invite to make it into this series. You don't want to waste that opportunity. You don't want to waste that invite, especially when you go through the qualifying process and make it into the feature event. That means something in iRacing, short track racing, and it's good to see those drivers not wasting it. Should be the 1 to green mark for the field as we work a little ways past. Well, actually a little ways, hang on, I'm trying to split 125 now. We're a little ways past the halfway marker. And the iRacing.com pace cars safety lights have been extinguished. Make sure to follow along with Pit Stop TV all over social media. However you consume it, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Twitch, YouTube, Kick, we're on all of those platforms and ready for you to watch some broadcasts. We'll be talking about what's upcoming for the channel here soon, but in the meantime, we are back green on the front stretch at Nashville. Alex McCullum straight to work on Casey Kelly. Side by side they go down to turn number 3. McCullum the advantage and will be the benefactor off the top side. He's going to challenge Cottle as well. 1 lap complete from the restart. We've got ourselves a race. And it's not just between Kelly and McCullum. Dickinson and Harbor, it's very close together as well. They stay side by side. That is for the 5th position. As, again, we've got racing all over this racetrack. This is one of the raciest places we go all season long. Harberts gets clear of Dickinson, drops down into position number 5. A good day working for the Matt Julas C machine. And Cody Kelly working to get back into the top 5 potentially. He powers by the 6 car out of turn number 2. And look who is coming back into the conversation for a moment. Ryan Kuhn is at least here for the time being, and Cole Cabrey is starting to move his way through this top 10. In 8th position now, nosing ahead of Ryan Kuhn, and looking for more as he tries to work to the outside of the number 6 car of Spencer Dickinson, and I think he will. So hello, Cole Cabrey. He looked real good in warm-up. This is the view from Spencer Dickinson trying to hang on to position number 7. Cole Cabrey, though, going to get it as we work down to turn 1 on lap 73. 3 wide they go. Cabrey up top. Dickinson in the sandwich. Kuhn down low. Very intelligently backs out of that one. That was almost disaster as they worked into turn 3, but they sorted out for now. Kuhn sticks his nose back to the inside. Big send from the 72 to get back alongside, and he's going to turn Dickinson, and that's why it was risky. Traves involved, and it's a pile-up, it's a parking lot, it's a junk. I don't know what a junk is, but it's whatever we just saw. Keith Jeffrey in it. It's a junkyard, it's a yard sale. Some combination of those words and adjectives. It is not often that you see Ryan Kuhn make a mistake like that. But as the passing car, and you know what? There's going to be different ideologies on this, but from what I've seen in my years, I go back to what I've been broadcasting the last several years, the passing car is always responsible for facilitating the pass cleanly. And I think what we're going to see out of turn 2 is technically Dickinson might come back down towards the apex. He actually got squeezed down by Schaefer. And I just don't think that was a very high percentage idea from Ryan at that point in time. 50 laps to go and we just wadded up a quarter of the field or more. This is a lap prior. You see it there, a little bit of door-to-door contact. That's where I said so intelligently that Ryan backed out. I think he should have backed out of this one too. I mean, makes the move, big send. There's just not enough room for 3 cars there. At least not when the top car is that far down. Traves goes spinning. Jeffrey, Tracy, and others pile in. Nowhere to go at that point in time. On board of the 66 car, Eric Tracy deep in the field, right behind Josh Parrish, Matt Rolfe, and he got driven through. Wow. I don't know who jacked him up from behind, but admittedly, I mean, it's tough back there, and you're stacked up, single file especially in this case. It looks like to be Rocky Boyd that smashes through the 66. It's tough. Everybody's trying to get what they can, 50 laps to go. I get it. A whole lot of cars, though, in the pit lane. There's one of them. Eric Tracy in the 66. Sean Cool coming back through, and other drivers pitting in this cycle includes Spencer Dickinson. I think that's pretty understandable at this point. And Ryan Kuhn has been taken to the rear of the field. 22nd spot. The field will get doubled back up, I believe, that time by. Sure enough, let's take a look at what's upcoming for us at Pit Stop TV while we get this last pace lap in before we have 45 laps to go. Sunday evening, we head out to Daytona International Speedway. It's a whole bunch of oval racing these days. And we've got Cup racing coming back. The NASCAR, well, the Icon Cup Series, utilizing the NASCAR Cup Series vehicles, beginning their season at Daytona with the Daytona 300. Out of the restart zone, we are back green at Nashville. And quickly, Trevor Edwards back to the race lead, but Alex McCullum in that second spot, we can go ahead and say at this point. He's third technically, but it's a matter of time before he gets by that 13. Although it might be a little more time than I thought. Caution. Crash in the back, and it's Daniel Folds. And the number 09 will have to give it another shot. The team Zeems 09, let's see what happened to him. This is the restart. They got a little jungled up. Racing with Richie Murray on the outside, Josh Parrish behind. Gets down onto the apron, checks up a little bit, Parrish nowhere to go. And they just make a little bit of contact. Unfortunately, as unfortunate as it is, as maybe frustrating as it can be to get a caution that quickly off of a restart, that just comes with the territory of running short track racing and having one caution within 50 laps to go. Well, here come another whole bunch of them. Had that great long run through the middle portion, but now it's a lot like if you run, I don't know, 160 laps green in the Daytona 500, you get a caution towards the end, everybody is going to be 3 wide. I hope we don't get 3 wide here, by the way. I really, really hope we don't get 3 wide, at least for a while. We can see it maybe for the win, but let's not do that for a bit. The rest of the season takes us to some interesting racetracks, some special racetracks, some really cool racetracks, and a whole bunch of variety for sure across the rest of this season. Next up, we go to Lucama, North Carolina, at least virtually. I know some say Kenneline, Lucama, whichever one. But we're in eastern North Carolina regardless for the virtual Southern National Motorsports Park. Awesome place to go racing, 4/10 of a mile, has the Thanksgiving Classic yearly. We need some more special events there on the iRacing.com sim. Really cool racetrack, really special, really unique. 173 laps next week will be special for sure on Leap Day as well in 2024. Five Flags then checks in after nearly a month off. Will be the Justin Brooks Designs show for race number 6. Then it's Mystery Night, brought to you by Fast AF Designs. Toxic Media Solutions takes us out to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Headley's Garage takes us out to Wisconsin for Slinger. That's going to be a special one for sure. Oxford Plains at race 10, thanks to Hyde's Pride and RS Center Trucking, taking us to our finale venue, Caffeine and Octane Lanier Raceway on May 9th. And let's not forget those who have got us here. Crow Sim Shots, Boyd's Automotive, Race1Wraps.com, and this evening, Studio 10 Wraps, the presenting partner of race number 4 on the schedule. Glad to have everybody here that has put their heart and soul into the series, all the different partners. The Studio 10 Wraps 125 has been special thus far. If you're just joining us, maybe a look back at what's happened to this point. 5 cautions for 25 laps. We're working the final lap of the 5th of those cautions. 0 lead changes, though. Trevor Edwards has led us the entire way so far, nearly 90 laps with car 32 out front. Let's see if Alex McCullum or Josh Connell can change it on this restart. Quickly through the iRacing.com restart zone, back green. Alex McCullum doing some work on the bottom side of 1 and 2. Has the nose ahead of Cottle. Much better restart out of Alex that time around. Casey Kelly trying to get a line. And they'll get single file. Jacob Harbert has to settle for the 5th spot for now. This could be a fight for a while between the 80 and the 5 car. We're in the 75 as well. It gets even more interesting with Cody Kelly there on the outside. And that's going to hinder Harberts a little bit as Grant Brown marches toward the top 10. Devin Landry just ahead. That's Aaron Johnson ahead even of the 14 and the 40 as there's a little bit of contact there at turn number 2. "35 laps to go when we cross the stripe there. Harberts and Kelly, the first side-by-side. Once again, I have to highlight that number 6 car. As, wow, big hit to the outside wall there for Kelly. But Joe Schaefer Jr. was very much on my mind at Irwindale and New Smyrna. I don't know why that... Well, caution. Oh, boy. And Kyle Eli has not had a day. It's not been a season so far to recall. Not been a 3 weeks that he wants to recall at all. This time, though, it looks like he misses whatever the heck happened, and thankfully doesn't have to be involved in it. He was just slow. At first, I was a little scared. I thought maybe he was the car going around and giving us the caution, but it seems like he was only privy to the back end of it. Dylan Bates behind it. Oh! Well, hello. Keith Jeffrey, Tyler DiVinanzo down the front stretch. Here's another look. DiVinanzo puts folds in the fence, a little bit of contact there, and Tyler takes Jeffrey down to the inside. That gives us caution number 6. Oh, there's a whole lot of context to be had off of this restart. So DiVinanzo is behind these guys a little bit. Jeffrey actually got beaten around like a ping pong ball. Here he goes sliding through 1 and 2. DiVinanzo takes the opportunity and doors the 09 a little bit to do it. Daniel Folds, I'm sure, didn't like that. Tries to hold him down in 1 and 2. And when they work onto the front stretch here, there's the contact. And, well, there's the crash. That is what they call a whole mess. Well, 30 laps to go, this time by the flag stand, and we are working closely to potentially the first lead change of the race. Still haven't had one because this guy has been on his best behavior and has found a bunch of speed this week. Trevor Edwards has had a troublesome start to the season. We all know what Trevor can do behind the wheel, and this is exactly it. 95 laps led out of 95 complete. This is the kind of thing we expect out of the driver from the shop. Unfortunately, it's been a very rough start through 3 races. Pretty solid deal going for him this evening, though. Alex McCullum there, of course, in second spot. Josh Cottle, by the way, he deserves much of recognition as well. I mean, when you look at the point standings, the 32 and the 13 are right next to each other. I'm sorry. Well, you know what? 15, 25 points apart, that's not so far apart. They're a little further than I thought. They were closer together, I think, going into last week, but Cottle now into 4th spot. Just ahead of Mom Burkett, who's out of this race early. Dylan Bates has had trouble. Kyle Eli has had trouble. John Owlett has had trouble. You know what? We may as well consider Josh Cottle, Cody Kelly, and Trevor Edwards that much closer on the standings because it seems like everybody in between them is having a pretty awful, terrible, no good night. Restart coming. Inside of 30 to go. And a bit of a jackrabbit on the top side, but we are back green in the studio. 10 wraps, 125. Double file the whole way through. This is where the money starts to get made. Alex McCullum defending on the top side, trying to stay ahead of the 13 car and work back down to the inside line. He's got it. Casey Kelly trying to do something now as well. Side by side, great look at that Firebird nose for Cottle, and caution. Big crash. Josh Parrish is involved, Kyle Souza, Eric Tracy. Big contact to the outside wall in 1 and 2, that time frame. Well, for this one, you're watching this whole area, really all of it. The 7 gets loose in the front stretch, watch the 66, and contact. You know, it seemed a lot bigger at first. It really wasn't a massive crash. Certainly unfortunate, though, if you're the 7 car. Souza just gets out of shape with Kuhn, and then Tracy comes in, and then these guys have trouble getting away from the accident site. Working down the banking. Insult to injury at that point. I think Tracy was waiting on Souza to get back going. Souza was waiting on Tracy maybe, or just trying to get going. Who knows? But the number 7 car now comes in. Souza Media. Bit of a rough night going for him. Spencer Dickinson, another guy who was really, really good in this race earlier. I really hate the result that he's going to have to settle for. He's 25th. He's on the lead lap for now. But he's been kind of condemned, cursed to this life of just pitting, trying to get some repairs made and going back out. And that looks like a disconnection for Kyle Eli. He'll be done. And we'll settle for 28th. So Dickinson heads back out. And being inside of 25 to go, everything that we're seeing, all of the urgency from these drivers is, well, it's just beginning. Looking ahead for us at Pit Stop TV, we already talked about what's coming up on Sunday evening, February the 25th. How about February the 27th? And that middle portion of next week, we head out to Southern National Motorsports Park 2 nights in a row. First up for some street stock racing with the Lucky Motorsports bunch. And then with super late models here for the SARA Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. You don't want to miss either one of those races on the 27th and 29th. Into the rest of March, we have a lot more racing going on with the Icon Cup Series as they make their official series debut, really. And then the Lucky Motorsport Solutions Street Stocks are wrapping up. March 6th, we'll have more action from the Sarge, I think is how they pronounce it, SARG Super Speedway Series, brought to you by Sunwest Constructions. A whole lot worth tuning in for at Pit Stop TV as we work back into the restart zone. And Trevor Edwards will take us back green flag with 21 laps to go in the Studio 10 wraps 125. Clean through 1 and 2, but here comes everybody else looking for their spot. And Casey Kelly is clear for 3rd. Side by side, Harberts and Cottle. Schaefer and Kelly even. A couple of really solid pairs battling down the backstretch. Harberts, I think, going to win out over Josh Cottle. That 80 car, I highlighted him I don't know how many laps ago, and now on the far side of lap 100, that 80 is coming alive as Casey Kelly, hello, goes purple on lap 106. Inside of 20 to go. And we have got the battles all over. Some slow cars in the back. Ryan Coons turned around. Caution. Oh. Kyle Meyer. Grant Brown. Ryan Coons having a bad day, and he will park it. I think these guys have a drop. He's going to be using it for sure. Ryan Kuhn back here with Cameron Hamilton, Matt Rolfe, Tyler DiVincenzo, and a whole bunch of others. And I think this starts actually a little ways ahead with Kyle Meyer in the 88. Actually, no, with Devin Landry and Grant Brown. Massive hit for Grant. Here's the 14 car getting jacked up a little bit by the 40, I think, and oh my gosh. A look back as to how this all happens. The Reaper Speed Lab 40 on the top side, Pull Down Motorsports as well. This is the lap prior. This is all of this building. You've got Parker Traves right behind, Rocky Boyd, Aaron Johnson just ahead. I mean, these guys were just outside the top 10. Parker Traves now is 11th. Aaron Johnson's 9th. Rocky Boyd goes by and gets 10th. Landry just sends the 14 into turn 3 and then gets him again on corner exit. And it's really just on from there. Big hit, Ryan Kuhn. Oh my gosh. Kyle Meyer in the 88. On board here. Oh my God. Wow. Seen a few hits like that in real life, and I'm glad these guys are driving the sim this evening. That was big. That was a big hit. I haven't seen much of the new damage model be used for the Super. We just saw it there for the 14 car, who is, as you would expect, in the pits. And probably certainly done competitively, along with Kyle Meyer in the 88. And Tyler DiVincenzo even here in the 97. He's got a bunch of damage. Wow. I have not seen the damage model actually be used like that for the Super Late model yet. That was, again, a really, really big hit. Well, once again, if you're just joining us, now 8 cautions, working on lap number 40 of caution period. You know what? It's been a pretty solid race. I know we're kind of slow moving here at the end, just waiting for this race, I think, to work to its precipice and watch Trevor Edwards and Alex McCollum go at it properly. But it's extending this period of anticipation. I think we're about to have a really good finish. We're going to have 12 laps to go as the iRacing.com pace car heads back down to the relative safety of pit lane. Green flag back out. We're racing again in the Studio 10 Wraps 125. Casey Kelly challenging Alex McCollum into turns 1 and 2. That was 12 to go. We get through that lap cleanly. And everybody's looking for everything. Josh Connell, Joe Schaefer, they go side by side. Harberts gets clear of those two. That was 11. Now Cody Kelly working against Cole Cabry, of course. Cole Cabry, Rocky Boyd, Aaron Johnson, crash in the back and crash in the front. Joe Schaefer, contact with Aaron Johnson and who knows who else, but a crash, well, the caution comes out for the 8 car of Richie Murray. Nice little two-parter to take us towards the back end of this one. This is a lap prior, the whole build-up leading into it. Richie racing with the 91 of Dylan Bates, who's finally back on the lead lap. Matt Rolfe right behind. And so as they work through turn 4, Bates just got the 8 car. Matt Rolfe, oh, the dance to try and miss that. You see the calamity between the leaders. So if we work a little further back and watch whatever just happened for Schaefer and the bunch of, and look at that, we didn't even see that. That was Daniel Folds drifting in 1 and 2, just trying to hang on to his race car. I think this is the contact and everything else for the leaders. Schaefer got the wall. No, that's actually the lap prior. Okay. More context. By the way, watching the Facebook numbers kind of go down a little bit. If you're tuning out at this point, you're doing the wrong thing. As, wow, I think Connell might have lifted. Schaefer might have got a piece of him. At the same time, Cody Kelly was in the back of the 13 car. Back a little more. This is where it happens. Schaefer got loose, got the 13. Kelly is completely innocent in all of that. And unfortunately, the really, really good run for the 6 car with Epic Media all over it, that Ford Mustang, unfortunately, might have come to a close. That body is very much compromised. With 6 laps to go the next time by the flag stand, I think we'll have 5 for the restart. Been praising this 6 car all race long, I feel like. Joe Schaefer has kept himself very much within relevance for this race. That might, though, take him out of the top 10. He's 6th now, and with the Sharks behind him smelling blood in the water, they know he's wounded. They know he just wadded it into the wall, and then the 13 car, which, by the way, Josh Cottle looks unscathed. They know the 6 is wounded. He's starting on the outside here. He's going to have a rough time. I'm not saying that these guys are going to get the best of him, but they're going to try. As we'll have 5 laps to go. If we get a caution now, it's going to push us into overtime. And so if you're considering tuning out, if you know somebody who has turned out, well, tune them back in. 5 laps to go this time by. We'll get the race restarted. It's Trevor Edwards, Alex McCullum, Casey Kelly, Jacob Harberts. Green flag is back out at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. 5 laps to go. McCullum in that black and light blue, number 1. They get all over the place on the backstretch. They hang on to it, though, and we stay green. That's the important part. Some spinning in the back. Let's hope it... No. Caution. Man. Well, happens somewhere towards the back. Richie Murray gets jacked up, and for what feels like the 5th time tonight, it might even be the 4th time, I think. Unfortunately, the 8 car has very much been involved in a crash at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, and this doesn't seem to be any of his own doing. This is Eric Tracy got loose, he checked up, and Dylan Bates didn't get the memo. And another example of the new damage model for the super late model taking over, and that took off the entire rear fascia. That also took off the rear spoiler as we officially work into overtime. So hopefully Murray can get that rear spoiler added back on, because if there's any aerodynamic deficit, he might make great speed in a straight line. Unfortunately, when he gets to the corner and tries to turn left, he'll find himself turning right. And contrary to what Doc Hudson says, I don't think that's going to work here. Well, we get another opportunity as somebody just fought by for a lap. That's Sean Cool, I think, had to graze the outside wall. And by the way, he has gone from 6 or 7 laps down to now, I believe, being 2 laps down. If we get another couple of overtime restarts, who knows? He might be back in it. Two green-white checkers, by the way. So the best he can do is get to 1 lap down, but it's still worth it. As he might actually still be 3. Regardless, it's worth it. Try and get all the spots, all the laps back that you can. As this will be one of our 2 green-white checkered attempts. Let's hope it only uses the 1. And call your shots now. YouTube chat, Facebook chat. This is your opportunity to look cool. Can you pick the race winner out of this bunch? Trevor Edwards, the leader. Alex McCullum, 2nd. Casey Kelly maybe in the 5 car. He's going to restart 3rd. Edwards, though, has had some big-time advantage on these restarts, and it's going to be tough to beat that, of course. But if the 32 and 1 get to racing, I don't think it's too far-fetched to imagine the 5 for the 80 car going to victory lane. Casey Kelly, Jacob Harberts, they, at the very least, have an opportunity, as I believe We'll get the 1 to go signal this time by the flag stand, and sure enough, we'll double them up and potentially send them green for the final time in the Studio 10 wraps, now 129. "23 cars left on the racetrack. Kyle Myers in the pit lane, but is still in the session. One of them is 3 laps down. That leaves 22 eligible to win this race. Never say never. iRacing.com pace car will leave these drivers in the hands of Trevor Edwards, who launches quickly. We're back green, maybe for the final time, overtime in the SARA Super Series. Three wide back here. That might not end well, but I think we're going to make this race official. Rocky Boy to the inside of Cody Kelly. Contact there, but our leaders are going to race it out. White flag displayed. 1 lap to go. Brought to you by Whiplash Simcams, and it comes at the perfect time for Alex McCullum, who goes purple on the next to final lap. Can he get it done in turns 3 and 4? The answer is no, and Trevor Edwards is going to get his first win this season in the SARA Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. The Studio 10 wraps 129 goes to driver 32. He led every dang lap at this racetrack this evening. Started from pole by virtue of the points handicap, and I think he'll take it. He'll park it down on the inside of the racetrack, and a job well done, certainly. Here we go. A smoke show. Somebody got the memo about doing some burnouts. We've got some pretty cool cameras. Well, job well done by the 32 car. There we go, certainly, as he's going to bring it right under the flag stand. Hey, we've got one for that, too. Well, we can go ahead and take a look at your unofficial race results after 129 laps of racing. It all came down to a couple of laps where nobody could top car 32, and Trevor Edwards goes to victory lane. Alex McCullum, 2nd place. Casey Kelly, 3rd. Jacob Harbert's 4th. Josh Cottle, 5th. A really solid top 10, even going back to guys like Joe Schaefer, who hung on to the top 10 and hung on to 6th. Props there, Joe. Cody Kelly ended up in 7th, not so bad considering the circumstances. Rocky Boyd, same deal. Cole Cabry, valiant effort, he ends up 9th. And Aaron Johnson sneaks into the top 10. A really solid set of drivers up at the front. Parker Traves, by the way, was able to recover to 11th. He was a non-factor all night, and coming off of a race win at New Smyrna, that's a bunch of points that he needed. Devin Landry, 12th. Cameron Hamilton, 13th. Matt Rolfe, maybe the highest finish we've seen out of him in the last couple of weeks. He goes 14th. He's had some really terrible luck. Keith Jeffrey there in the 15th spot. Kyle Souza, Josh Parrish, Eric Tracy, Richie Murray, and Spencer Dickinson, your top 20. I still hate that for Spencer. The rest of your field here, all the way down through Dustin Monburquette in the 30th position. But how about driver 32? And really, driver 32, driver 1, of course, Alex McCullum came back from some adversity himself. And I don't think enough can be said for the 5 car of Casey Kelly. I'm sure he's got pace. I'm sure we know that he's quick, but we just haven't seen it out of him yet on these broadcasts. It's good to see that from car number 5 for sure. And we have a chance to talk to these drivers. Trevor Edwards, first up from victory lane. You're the first driver to do a burnout, which of course is appreciated, but how about leading every dang lap this evening? 129, green to checkered, flag to flag. How did you hang on there on those closing restarts?
I don't know, man. We were so tight. It was really tough to hang on. Alex is one of the best, and he's one of my teammates. So I told him, I said, I want to race you hard for this, but I might wreck you if I have to. But I haven't won a super race in a really long time, so this is pretty cool.
Absolutely cool to see a driver who's 10th place in the points could really use these points, take a win from those guys up front, Ryan Kuhn, Alex McCullum. So how do you take this and go to Southern National here in a week's time and try to do the same thing for 73 laps?
Yeah, I think it's just the confidence, man. Like I had a really good season at late model stocks last year, and before that, I was just kind of a mediocre, super late model guy, running fifth, sixth, and I was happy. So tonight, seeing that I can still get it done, that means a lot to me. So hopefully, we can take that momentum and go to Southern National, which is another high bank fast racetrack, and see if this will all translate.
Yeah, of course, very different racing styles between even just the little over a half mile here, the 4/10 of a mile there. Is there another racetrack maybe at the 32 we can expect to take this speed and kind of translate it over?
I don't know. I haven't really looked at the schedule a whole lot. I'm just trying to take it week by week and keep having fun. It's been a rough start to the season with a bunch of wrecks and just not getting the finishes that we were running where we didn't finish where we were running most of the race. So to finish it off, that means it's pretty cool, man.
Well, congratulations, Trevor. Good to talk to you finally this season. Best of luck to you. Hopefully, we're talking to you next week.
Yeah, thanks, man. I just want to tell everybody at the shop, thank you so much for all the hard work on the setup. Cottle Captures, you for broadcasting, and Jacob Hayes over at Rockets Eye Racing Wraps on Facebook. If you like this car, you should go check out his Facebook page and see all the stuff he does.
Really pretty race car there for Trevor Edwards. Trevor, thank you for your time. We'll go down and talk to his teammate, though, Alex McCullum, who ends up finishing second. And, of course, we're used to talking to you, Alex, at the end of the race, but one spot shy of where everybody wanted to be. Do you think you could have done anything different to pass your teammate there in the closing laps?
Only green flag laps would tell. I feel like my biggest strong area was definitely 3 and 4 from lap 1 to lap 129. So I feel like my car lacked pretty much everywhere I wanted to. I wasn't able to really rotate like those guys, but I had really good cut in 3 and 4. But Trevor ran a really good race. He was really fast, and it was hard to get around him there.
We go to Southern National next time, a place that I wouldn't be surprised if you have some laps at yourself. How do you try and attack that? It's not an easy place to go racing, especially with 30 some odd super late models.
I think we're gonna be really good. That's probably one of my best tracks on our racing, so I'm really looking forward to that. I always build really good stuff for there, but we'll see. I mean, we could be really good or really bad. So these races are pretty much chaos. So it's gonna take one lap at a time, but I think we'll be pretty good at Southern. It's just if we're gonna hit it or miss it.
And have you checked your seat, by the way, for any kind of brown after lap 1? That was a scary situation there for a second.
Yeah, I was like, well, here goes the race, lap 1, turn 1. But nah, Sean just got really loose and then went to the outside wall. But that was a close call, too close for my comfort. But luckily, I made it through.
It happens in racing, especially in sim racing. I've been there. I've done that. But Alex, congratulations, P2. I'm sure we're going to be talking to you a lot more this season. That's the trend, so we'll see you next week at Southern National.
Thank you.
Alex McCullum, another solid finish. And you know what? Let's go back, of course, talking about that lap 1 mishap for Sean. We've all been there at some point in time, whether it's against AI or against real people. Everybody has done something like that, something similar. We get it. As Casey Kelly, by the way, very, very impressive in this race. And Kelly, position number 3 after 129 laps. It was a long haul, and you finish right up front with the best of the series. Walk us through, over the course of 129 laps, keeping yourself in that top 3 all race long.
Yeah, I was just trying to keep up the track position as best I could. The shop cars are really good all the time, so to be as fast as them tonight was a good run. I felt like I was pretty good there at the end. I just needed some more laps to be able to try to make a pass.
And do you think if we got green maybe for 5-10 laps towards the end, you could have done something? We saw a purple lap out of the 5 car at some point. Clearly you had the speed if you're going purple in the last 5 or 10 laps. If we had 5, do you think you could have got them?
Maybe, probably not. We're so close, but I did have a lot of speed tonight, so if it would have been any time so far this season, it would have been tonight. So I mean, it was nice to have a green flag run at the beginning of the race, so hopefully the season just keeps getting on better.
Absolutely, an uptick this evening for sure on green flag laps and green flag action. But Casey, you talk about the speed out of the shop guys who finished right in front of you. Of course, Matt Julis, speed shop right behind you in the case of Jacob Harberts. A lot of speed all around you. And they all, it seems like, feel pretty confident for Southern National next week. It's a pretty commonly used racetrack in iRacing, short track racing. How do you feel for it? I mean, it's a tough place to go race.
Yeah, I'm confident. We've been pretty good every week, so I don't see no reason we won't be next at Southern National.
Well, Casey Kelly, an impressive top 3 this evening. Casey, good to talk to you. Congratulations. Hopefully we're talking to you next week in virtual Lucama, North Carolina.
All right, thank you.
Casey Kelly with a 3rd place finish, a really solid day for him. I mean, 3-3-3 as far as started 3rd, currently 3rd. Will finish 3rd in that case, a high of 3rd place, only low of 4th, and I don't think that was for very long for the 5 car this evening. Really, really strong scenes for him, and a solid day overall. I know the caution count and the amount of laps has definitely drawn some attention, and I think certainly we got on that higher end at the very end of the race, but if you don't go back and watch the whole mid portion from about lap 15 to lap 60, or I would say even lap 80 or so, that was some of the best racing we've seen this season, and I think very, very what's the word, promising for the rest of the season. We saw some really good stuff from these guys, and I think it returned to what we should expect out of the SARA Pierce Fleet Service Super Series, and I think we're getting there. It takes a little bit sometimes in seasons to just get into a rhythm. I think we found some of that rhythm. The work is paying off for Matt Rolfe and everybody at the series, and I think we're going to see some really cool racing. It might be tough at Southern National. Everybody knows that, though. There aren't many official races that go very green at Southern National, but as we get to some of these racetracks, these guys have been to a lot more, and as we get just further into the season, these guys get more warmed up. I think we're going to see better racing. One more nod to Studio 10 Wraps for being here this evening. Of course, the Studio 10 Wraps 125, then 129. Fantastic race. Really, really enjoyable, at least from my position in the booth. Really good racing throughout the course of this day. And, well, let's see what we have coming at Pit Stop TV. Of course, we talked about it a few times this evening. Sunday evening, February 25th, out to Daytona International Speedway. For what feels like the umpteenth time already this year. But we head out to Daytona to get a season started for the Icon Cup Series. The Daytona 300, 129 laps of racing for that bunch. Tuesday, it's the season finale at Southern National for the Lucky Motorsports Solutions Street Stocks. This was not planned, by the way. It just so happened this way. We'll also be racing on a leap day with the Pierce Fleet Service Super Series in the daytime, I believe, as well, at Southern National Motorsports Park. Should be a lot of fun. And of course, if you look up and down the rest of the schedule for these guys this season, a lot of really cool tracks come back up. I mean, Southern National next week, Five Flags is quintessential. Super late model track, of course, with the Snowball Derby at the end of the year. Who knows where we're going on March 28th, and then New Hampshire, Slinger, Oxford Plains, Lanier. New Hampshire's a bit odd. Slinger is going to be a slugfest. That's going to be a little bit scary in some ways. Oxford Plains, again, quintessential super late model track, and Lanier is just a really cool place to go racing. So a lot of promising stuff ahead for this series. We're only just getting started still, even though Ryan Kuhn and Alex McCullum have been so dominating to get things going. A nod to those who make it happen for us with the series: 1-8 Coffee Company, Pedley's Garage Incorporated, Pierce Fleet Service, Race1Wraps.com, RS Center Trucking, SARA Next Gen Templates. How about SimWrapMarket.com, a fantastic partner here. Souza Media, we saw Kyle Souza in the race this evening. Studio 10 Wraps, this evening's presenting partner, and Toxic Media Solutions as well, long-standing partner of the series, and Boyd's Automotive, Crow Sim Shots, David's Chassis Works, that name has been in the series a long time, DriverTees.com, Fast AF Designs, Hyde's Pride, of course, I believe the presenting partner of the Fall Brawl each year for this series, the International Short Track Association, Jeff by Junior Art, Justin Brooks Designs, and Matthews Designs. I'll catch my breath and go through our partners here at Pit Stop TV as well. Whiplash Simcams, ATVO, and CC's Business helping us get to and from the virtual racetrack week in, week out, day in, day out, it feels like. And that is it from the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Thank you so much for watching race number 4, the Studio10Wraps.com 125. That became the 129. A few extra laps here of racing. Won't turn that down at all. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. A big nod as well to the groups on the bottom of your screen in audio, ATVO, Whiplash SimCams, OBS, and iRacing.com. We'll see you hopefully at Daytona on Sunday. Otherwise, we'll see you on the Leap Day this year, February 29th. It happens once every 4 years. We'll see you there at Southern National for 173 laps in the sun.